In the quiet village of Umuozala, 14-year-old Kaima carries a powerful yet frightening gift. She sees and speaks with the dead. When spirits reveal how they died and beg her to help seek justice, Kaima courageously steps forward, uncovering murders, buried secrets, and powerful enemies. But when the village king mysteriously dies, Kaima's abilities make her the target of ruthless men who will stop at nothing to silence her. Caught between the living who fear her and the spirits who need her, Kaima must choose. Will she risk everything, even her life, to be the voice of justice for the dead? Hello friends, enjoy this relaxing moment with Valentino's stories. Remember to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments section, and generously hit the like button because it means a lot to us. Please relax and enjoy as we dive in the story. The sound of crying filled the air like smoke rising from a small burning house. In the wide village square of Umuozala, neighbors stood before Okonkwo's mud-brick compound, fear on every face. Women pressed colorful wrappers against wet eyes, men shifted from foot to foot, and children clung to their mother's legs. The sun was hot, yet nobody noticed. All they saw was Okonkwo's empty doorway and his wife's broken heart. "What really happened to him?" one woman whispered, biting her thumb. "It is already more than 1 week," another muttered, remembering the day he left for the farm and never came home. Nobody spoke louder than a murmur. Dread thickened the air. Some blamed evil spirits, a few feared wild animals. Yet many carried the darker thought they dared not name: murder. On the bare ground, Okonkwo's wife sat in torn silence. Dust clung to her wet cheeks, and her wrapper was soaked with tears. Her little son and daughter pressed their faces into her sides, sobbing softly. Their eyes were swollen from nights without sleep. The widow rocked back and forth, whispering her husband's name as if the sound might call him back. A few steps away stood Okachukwu, Okonkwo's elder brother. He folded his arms and tried to sound sure. "My brother will return," he declared. "He is not dead." The crowd shifted uneasily, because hope and doubt wrestled inside every heart. Some nodded, yet many wondered why he, of all people, spoke with such sudden certainty. Just then Kaima, a 14-year-old girl with sharp eyes and a steady voice, walked into the compound beside her father, Motsi Ume. People respected Motsi Ume's quiet wisdom and moved aside for them. Kaima's heart pounded, but she squeezed her father's hand and drew him aside. "Papa," she whispered, "Okonkwo is dead. He came to me in my dream. Okachukwu killed him and buried him near the old yam mounds." Motsi Ume's brows drew together. His daughter's strange gift, seeing the dead in dreams, had proved true before, but the charge was heavy. Still, love for truth pushed fear aside. He nodded and followed Kaima to the grieving widow. Kaima knelt before the crying woman. "Ma," she said softly, "your husband is not missing. He is dead, but he wants justice." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Kaima rose and pointed straight at Okachukwu. "He killed his brother," she said, her young voice ringing like a bell. Okachukwu's eyes flashed. "Lies from a child's nightmare," he barked, but sweat already shone on his brow. A thorn of suspicion pierced every heart. "If I lie," Kaima continued, "search behind his yam barn. You will find the cutlass he used and Okonkwo's water bottle, still stained with red earth." The elders exchanged looks, then turned to Okachukwu. "We must see," they said. With shaky steps, he led the way to his yard, followed by a tide of villagers. Behind the leaning barn, half hidden under dry leaves, lay a rusty cutlass and a cracked bottle. Brown stains darkened the blade. A low moan rose from the crowd. Kaima did not flinch. "There is more," she said. "Come to the farmland." Motsi Ume and 5 strong men picked up hoes and shovels. Birds scattered as they reached the edge of the farm, where red dust met green bush. Kaima stopped at a patch where the soil looked freshly disturbed, as if someone had swept sorrow under a thin blanket of earth. The men began to dig. Each scoop released a sharp, sour smell. Flies buzzed angrily. Soon a piece of cloth appeared, then a cold arm. Women cried out and turned away. When the body was lifted, everyone saw the swollen yet familiar face of Okonkwo. The widow's scream cut through the afternoon like a spear. Okachukwu spun to flee, but many hands grabbed him. Rage and grief gave the villagers iron fingers. They bound his wrists with goat rope. Kneeling in the dust, he sobbed that it was an accident, that greed over land made him strike his brother. His words fell like stones into a deep well. No one felt pity. As the sun dipped behind the palm trees, a hush settled on Umuozala. No one cheered, yet everyone felt the village breathe again. Children who had clung to their mothers now wiped their eyes and stared at Kaima with awe. Elders whispered prayers of thanks, promising to honor the dead with proper rites. Justice, though painful, had come. Kaima stood very still, tears in her eyes, yet her face calm, listening to something no one else could hear. A cool breeze brushed her cheek, and with it came a faint whisper. "Thank you, my child. Now I can rest." Kaima closed her eyes and nodded. The villagers watched in wonder, for truth had spoken through a child, and a restless spirit had found peace at last. The morning sun rose slowly over the quiet village of Umuozala. A heavy silence sat in the air, as if the earth itself was still thinking about what had happened the day before. People walked with lowered voices and careful steps. In the village square, the elders gathered under the big irako tree. Their faces were firm, and their eyes sharp. Okachukwu sat in the center, his hands tied behind his back with thick rope. His head was bowed. He looked smaller than he had ever looked, like a man whose strength had been taken by shame. The Anawu, the oldest of the elders, stood up. His walking stick struck the ground as he spoke. Kaima spoke no lie. She revealed the truth we could not see. For killing your own brother and hiding his body, this land rejects you. A loud murmur moved through the crowd, and then they all shouted together. This land rejects you. Two men stepped forward and dragged Okachukwu away. The women ululated, not in joy, but in relief that justice had been done. Now, all eyes turned to Kaima, the 14-year-old girl who had spoken with the voice of the unseen. People stepped forward to bless her. "This child is not ordinary," an old man said. "Anyan di Nwuru Onwu," another whispered, "the eyes of the dead." An old woman, with trembling fingers and faded eyes, touched Kaima's hand and said, "May your eyes never go blind, my daughter." From that day, Kaima became known across Umuozala as the girl who saw what others could not see, the truth carried by the spirits of the dead. But the praise did not bring peace. That very night, Kaima's sleep was broken. A soft wind entered her room, and then a voice. "Help me." Kaima sat up, breathing fast. There was no one in the room. She tried to lie down again. But another voice came. "I was poisoned." She pulled her blanket up to her chin, her heart racing. Then a third voice whispered, "I was thrown into the river." Kaima screamed. Her cry rang through the compound. Her grandmother, Mama Nena, rushed in. She held Kaima and rocked her gently. "It's okay, Nwam. You are safe. It's just a bad dream." But Kaima knew it wasn't just a dream. The next day, she began to write in a small notebook. On each page, she recorded everything. The name of the spirit. The cause of death. Who caused it. Where the body could be found. Page after page, she filled it with details, some from strangers she had never met, others from people whose names had been long forgotten. As days passed, Kaima began to fear the night. Yet, the dead did not rest. They came every evening, filling her room with whispers, groans, and sorrow. She saw children, old women, young men, and even pregnant women, all with pain in their eyes, begging for justice. One evening, while Kaima was eating roasted yam with her father and grandmother, a cold breeze swept across the yard. The oil lamp flickered. A man's ghost appeared beside the mango tree. His eyes were wet, but his face was gentle. "Please," he said, "tell my wife I buried money in front of the small ogilasai tree near the back of our compound. Let her use it to pay off the debts. Tell her I still love her." Kaima froze. The yam slipped from her fingers. Her father looked at her. "What is it?" She pointed toward the tree where the ghost is standing. "There's money buried inside his compound. The man said it's for his wife to pay debts. He wants her to know he loved her." Motsi Uemi stared at her for a long time. Then he looked away and rubbed his forehead. "Kaima," he said slowly, "this is no longer a gift. This is a ministry." Kaima said nothing. Her hands were trembling. She looked at her notebook again. The pages were no longer just stories. They were instructions. Each line was a cry for justice that had gone unheard, until now. And Kaima, she was the only one listening. The morning light had barely touched the rooftops of Omuozala when Kaima opened her eyes. Sleep had not stayed long with her that night. The whisper of a spirit still lingered in her ears, gentle but firm, like a task waiting to be done. She stood from her raffia mat, tied her wrapper, and stepped into the cool air outside. Birds chirped in the distance, and the scent of roasted cassava came from a neighbor's kitchen. But Kaima's mind was elsewhere. She walked into the main hut where her father, Motsi Ume, was mending his old farming boots. "Papa," she said softly, "I need to go to the widow's house. The one the spirit spoke of yesterday." Motsi Ume looked up slowly, his brow furrowed with concern. "Kaima, listen to me. You must understand. Some people will not believe you. Some will call you a liar. Or worse." Kaima nodded. "I know, Papa. But I have to go." Her father sighed deeply. "Then go. And let the truth protect you." With that blessing, she wrapped her shawl tightly around her shoulders and began her journey toward the edge of the village. The widow's compound sat near the stream, surrounded by tall grass and silence. Her mud house had patches where the rain had worn the walls thin. Smoke curled from a cooking fire, and the sound of laughter rose from two small children playing in the dust, barefoot and happy despite their torn clothes. Kaima stepped into the compound and greeted the woman, who was peeling cocoyam beside a wooden stool. "Nda," Kaima said gently. "Good morning." The woman looked up, confused but polite. "Morning, my dear. Do I know you?" Kaima stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly. "No, ma. But your husband came to me. His spirit. He told me something important." The widow froze. Her knife paused mid-slice. "My husband is dead," she said flatly. "I don't talk to spirits." Kaima nodded. "He said he buried some money in front of an ogilasai tree." The woman's eyes narrowed. "You think this is a joke? That you can play with my pain?" "I'm not mocking you," Kaima said, voice steady. "Please. I only want to help." For a long moment, the woman said nothing. Then, in a quieter voice, she murmured, We do have an ogilasai tree. Behind the hut. He liked to rest under it after farming." Kaima's heart beat faster. "Then please, can we go there?" The woman stared into Kaima's face, searching for signs of trickery. But there was only calm and quiet determination. They walked to the back of the compound. The ogilasai tree stood tall and wide, its branches spreading like an umbrella. The ground beneath was smooth from years of footsteps. The woman pointed. "This is it." Kaima knelt and began to dig with her hands. The earth was dry and stubborn. The widow joined her, still unsure, but something about the girl's presence gave her courage. After some minutes, Kaima's fingers struck something solid. She paused, brushed away more soil, and revealed a torn nylon bag. Together, they pulled it out. Inside were several bundles of old Naira notes, wrapped tightly with rubber bands. The woman gasped. She tore open one of the notes and found a small folded paper tucked between the bills. Her hands shook as she opened it. On the paper, written in the familiar scrawl of her late husband, were the words, "For my wife. To clear what I owe. Use it well." Tears burst from her eyes. She clutched the note to her chest and sobbed. This is his handwriting. It's really him. Oh God. Thank you. Thank you." Kaima stood, her hands dirty, but her eyes calm. The woman reached out and hugged her. "You are not just a child. You are a blessing." By the time they returned to the front of the house, neighbors had begun to gather. Whispers spread like wildfire. "She found it. She was right again. Is this not the same girl who revealed the murder?" They didn't say it aloud, but the villagers were beginning to fear and respect her. Kaima said nothing. She walked away quietly, back through the narrow footpath toward her own home. As she reached the small bridge near the stream, a soft voice came on the wind. "Thank you, Kaima. Now I can rest." She smiled faintly and whispered back, "You're welcome." And with that, the spirit was gone. Kaima walked home from school along the dusty footpath that cut through the tall elephant grass. Her wooden slate bounced against her side, and the evening sun painted long shadows on the ground. Halfway to the village, a sudden chill brushed her skin, even though the air was warm. She stopped. In front of her, a faint figure formed, as clear to her eyes as any living person but lightly glowing at the edges. Chief Madhu, the wealthy landowner who had died 3 moons earlier. His voice was gentle yet urgent. "Kaima, my children have turned my house into a battleground. They fight over who owns what. Help me bring peace." Kaima swallowed her fear. "I will help, but not today," she replied. "Come to me again tomorrow morning." The ghost nodded once, gratitude in his faded eyes, and vanished like smoke caught by the wind. That night Kaima barely slept. She heard distant voices of spirits pressing against her dreams, all echoing the same plea, "Bring peace." At dawn she rose, washed her face, and hurried to the kitchen fire where her father, Motsi Ume, was warming leftover soup. "Papa," she said, "Chief Madhu's spirit asked me to settle a quarrel in his family. I have to visit their compound." Motsi Ume looked up sharply. "Those children are angry and strong. If they do not believe you, they could hurt you." "Then come with me," Kaima said. "Your presence will keep me safe." He nodded. "We will go together. Truth must travel with protection." Chief Madhu's compound stood at the far end of Omuazala, surrounded by high bamboo fences and fruit trees heavy with mangoes. When Kaima and her father arrived, angry voices spilled into the courtyard. 4 grown children, Obina, Chidi, Ngozi, and Amara, stood nose to nose, each claiming the biggest portion of land. 2 wives, the first and the second, paced on opposite sides like rival hens ready to fight. Servants watched from doorways, afraid to step in. Motsi Ume cleared his throat. "Peace to this house." The quarreling stopped for a heartbeat, then Obina frowned. "What do you want?" Kaima stepped forward. "Chief Madhu sent me. He says this house is for all his children. No one must sell it." Murmurs rippled through the group. Chidi laughed. "A girl speaks for the dead? We need proof." Kaima closed her eyes, listening inside. The ghost's voice returned, calm and precise, describing every corner of his estate. The rice field by the river belongs to Chidi. The palm grove at Amik Hill goes to Obina and Ngozi together. The cassava plots near the stream are for Amara. The house stays united. Kaima repeated each assignment. The servants' eyes widened. Those details were known only to family. Obina pointed a shaking finger. "I can still sell my share of the grove." "Your father says no," Kaima answered simply. "You may harvest, you may build, but you must not sell." The second wife, heavy with silver bangles, stepped forward, her voice sharp. "If you truly speak to him, girl, then tell me what he last promised me before his cough took him." Kaima breathed in, listening. A single phrase whispered against her mind, "Jew grapper." She had no idea what it meant, but trusted the voice. "Jew grapper," Kaima said aloud. The second wife's hands flew to her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. "He whispered those words to me the night before he passed," she cried. "He said he would bring a Jew grapper, an embroidered cloth from the city, when he returned from Lagos." Her knees buckled, and she wept openly. The room fell silent, doubt melted like dew in the sun. Kaima wiped sweat from her brow. "There is one more thing. Under the wooden chair in his obi, the private chamber where Chief Madhu held meetings, a small box is hidden. It holds money for settling the household debts." Obina scoffed, but 2 servants hurried inside. Moments later they returned, carrying a rusty tin box covered in cobwebs. Chidi forced it open. Crisp notes and a folded letter lay within. On the letter, in Chief Madhu's handwriting, were instructions to clear taxes, pay workers, and finish a community well he had promised. All arguments died. The siblings stared at Kaima with wide, humbled eyes. One by one they knelt. Ngozi spoke first. "Forgive our foolishness. Thank you for bringing our father's words." Kaima did not know what to say. She simply nodded and stepped back beside her father. Motsi Ume placed a protective hand on her shoulder, pride shining in his face. As they walked out of the compound, the afternoon breeze rustled through palm fronds. A soft voice drifted on the wind, warm, relieved, and full of gratitude. "Thank you, Kaima. Now peace can live here." Kaima smiled, feeling the familiar mix of comfort and burden. Another spirit had found rest, but she knew many more waited. Still, with her father beside her and truth as her guide, she was ready for whatever voice called next. Mid-morning drums should have echoed with wedding rhythms, but instead a slow, hollow beat rolled through Omuazala. People poured into the dusty square, murmuring in low voices. Word had spread like dry harmattan fire. Iguia Rins, lord of their land, had stopped breathing before dawn. He had gone to bed healthy, still laughing with his courtiers, yet servants discovered him stiff, eyes wide, and lips dark. No cough, no fever, just a silence too sudden to be called natural. Women clutched their wrappers and crossed themselves. "His eyes were open," one whispered to her neighbor. "When death comes of itself, lids close." An old hunter spat into the sand. "I smell foul medicine," he muttered. Fear crept between the huts, wrapping itself around every cooking fire. Inside the palace's shadowed corridor, two men stood apart from the wailing crowd. Onawu, the king's chief adviser, leaned on an ivory cane. Okenwa, captain of the palace guard, paced like a leopard. Their words were sharp and quiet. "We cannot leave loose ends," Onawu hissed, adjusting the red feather on his cap. "That child, Kaima," Okenwa replied. "If she opens her mouth, the drums will turn against us." "Then she must never open it," Onawu said, eyes cold as river stones. While they planned, Kaima was finishing lessons at school, drawing figures in the dust behind the thatched classroom. The teacher dismissed them early because of the king's death, and children hurried home. Kaima walked slowly. Though the sun was bright, a chill traced her back. She felt something hovering, as if unseen fingers tugged at her braid. That evening she helped her grandmother pound yam. Before the meal was finished, sleep tugged at her eyelids. She drifted to her mat, and the moment her head touched the raffia pillow, the world of living sound fell away. In her dream she stood in a vast hall woven from moonlight. Mist curled like white cloth on the polished floor. Iguia Rins appeared at the far end, still wearing the leopard-skin mantle of power. His crown glowed faintly. "Kaima," he said, voice gentle but heavy, "I was sent to my ancestors before my time. Last night, Onawu and Okenwa dropped poison into my palm wine. Bitterness hid beneath the sweet froth." He lifted his cup. Black drops fell and hissed on the floor. Kaima's throat tightened. "Why are you telling me, Your Highness?" "Because they will come for you next," he answered. "Your tongue threatens their secret. But remember, the dead watch over their own. You carry our sight. When daylight turns in your favor, speak. But not yet. The snakes still walk freely." A soft radiance wrapped around Kaima like a mother's arms. She felt warmth, courage, and grief, all braided together. The king's image faded, and with it the hall of mist dissolved into darkness. She sat up, still shaking. "Papa, the king. He came to me in a dream. He said Onawu and Okenwa killed him, poisoned his palm wine. They plan to kill me before I speak." Motsi Ume stood frozen, then gritted his teeth. "You're leaving this village in the morning." "But Papa," Kaima said, "the king said they'll protect me." "The spirits promised." "Promised," her father cut in. "You're placing your hope in dead people who couldn't protect themselves, the same ones who now run to you to speak for them?" He stepped closer, voice rising. "They needed your help to get justice, Kaima. And now you trust them to protect you from men like Onawu? Men who would kill even their own mothers to sit on the throne." Kaima blinked, her throat tightening. "But they're not all weak, Papa. Some ghosts are strong. They can get revenge on their own. The ones who need me are those who died wrongfully and have no voice." Motsi Ume shook his head. "It's only a foolish tree that hears it will be cut down and stays rooted. I won't wait. You are all I have, and I will not lose you to wicked men." Outside, dogs barked at shadows. Motsi Ume rose and began packing a small bundle, 2 wrappers, a wooden comb, and Kaima's precious notebook, the one filled with names of lost souls. Kaima watched, tears blurring her sight. She felt torn between the living arms of her father and the voiceless hands of the departed who tugged at her heart every night. She stepped into the yard, letting the cool breeze dry her face. Above, stars glittered like scattered cowries. Somewhere among those lights, she believed the king's spirit hovered, keeping his promise. Kaima whispered to the dark, "I will come back when the snakes crawl into daylight." Across the yard, Motsi Uemi listened. Fear still clung to him, but pride flickered in his eyes. He wrapped his arms around his daughter, holding her close while the night carried both their worries into the rustling leaves. Far away, unseen by them, two silhouettes lingered at the edge of the road, the advisor and the captain, plotting in low tones. Yet, just beyond those men lurked a circle of pale figures, spirits of those Kaima had helped, standing guard. The living could not see the watchful ring, but the conspirators felt an icy wind and hurried off, unsettled by a chill they could not name. Inside the hut, Kaima and her father prayed in whispers, the flame of an oil lamp dancing between hope and dread. Dawn was only hours away, and with it a journey toward safety, or perhaps toward a destiny even greater than she imagined. The early light of dawn painted the narrow footpath silver as Kaima and Motsi Uemi hurried toward the river bend that led to her mother's village. Damp grass brushed their ankles, leaving dark streaks on their sandals. Even the birds seemed to whisper instead of sing. Every sound felt too loud in the hush of the morning. Kaima kept her notebook pressed against her chest. With each step, she repeated silent prayers, one for safety, one for courage, and one for her father, who carried only a small walking stick but wore determination like armor. They rounded a curve flanked by tall bamboo. From the thick green wall ahead, 3 figures stepped onto the path. Sunlight glinted off the metal in their hands. All 3 men grinned as though greeting old friends, yet their eyes were cold. The tallest man, broad-shouldered and scar-faced, spoke first. "Running so early. The road is not safe today." Motsi Uemi tightened his grip on Kaima's wrist, easing her behind him. "We wish no trouble. Let us pass." A second man, missing 2 front teeth, swung his machete lazily. "Wish. We were paid to ensure you do not reach that village." Kaima's pulse hammered. She tried to steady her breath, remembering the king's warning, "The snakes still walk freely." The scar-faced man raised his cutlass above his head. "The girl goes first. The spirits can have her company." Kaima's knees weakened, but her father stepped forward, planting himself between her and the blades. His voice rang out, stronger than she'd ever heard. "You must strike me before you touch my child." The men laughed. "Gladly," said the toothless one, lunging. "Due to technical issues with AI, the continuation will be out tomorrow evening. Thank you."